Hello, everyone. Today, we're exploring the world of education options in the United States: public schools, private schools, and homeschooling. We'll break it down by starting with each one's history, then dive into theoretical benefits and drawbacks. Finally, we'll wrap up with what the research shows, particularly in areas like mental health and behavior, and we'll include key findings and some important limitations. Let's jump right in, beginning with public schools. Public education in the United States has its roots that trace back to the early 19th century, heavily influenced by the Prussian model of schooling. The Prussian education system, established in the late 1700s, was one of the world's first tax-funded compulsory public systems, designed to create obedient citizens and workers through structured state-controlled learning. In the United States, Horace Mann, often called the father of the American public school system, played a pivotal role. As secretary of the Massachusetts Board of Education, Mann visited Prussia in 1843 and was impressed by its emphasis on universal access and discipline. He adapted these ideas to promote common schools in Massachusetts, aiming to provide free, non-sectarian education for all children to foster democracy and social harmony. By the mid-1800s, this model spread nationwide, leading to the establishment of compulsory education laws and the modern public school system we know today. Now, let's explore public schools in more depth, starting with their theoretical benefits. Advocates for public education argue it's a cornerstone of a fair society. By offering free education to every child, regardless of socioeconomic status, race, or background, public schools aim to level the playing field. This accessibility might give kids from all walks of life a shot of academic and personal growth. The diverse student body is another aspect seen in a positive light by public school supporters. Children are exposed to peers from different cultures, religions, and economic backgrounds, which might foster open-mindedness and adaptability to real-world social dynamics. They argue that more diverse classrooms could build resilience and social skills, preparing kids for real-world workplaces and communities. Additionally, standardized curricula, backed by government oversight, might ensure a consistent educational foundation, theoretically reducing gaps in learning quality across regions. Public funding often supports a wide range of resources like sports teams, arts programs, and special education services, which can enhance engagement and provide outlets for self-expression, potentially lowering stress and encouraging positive behaviors like teamwork and discipline. For example, access to counselors or extracurricular activities might help kids manage anxiety or channel energy constructively, fostering mental well-being. On the other hand, critics of public schools point to significant drawbacks, particularly when it comes to mental health and behavior. The Prussian model, which inspired the US system in the 19th century, was designed to prioritize obedience and conformity over individuality. This structure could lead to indoctrination, pushing kids to accept state-approved narratives, whether about history, social issues, or values, without enough room for critical questioning. For instance, a child taught one perspective on a controversial topic might feel conflicted if it clashes with family beliefs, leading to cognitive dissonance, stress, or even personal struggles that could manifest as anxiety or withdrawal. The emphasis on rote learning and standardized testing can also stifle creativity, making kids feel like cogs in a machine, which might dampen self-esteem or spark defiance as a behavioral outlet. Large class sizes, often 25 to 35 students or more, and bureaucratic systems can make it hard for teachers to provide personalized attention, leaving some kids, especially those with unique learning needs, feeling overlooked. This lack of individual focus might contribute to stress, disengagement, or acting out, like aggression or apathy, as kids struggle to feel seen. Moreover, the diverse peer environment, while theoretically a strength, can also expose kids to negative influences like bullying or peer pressure to engage in risky behaviors such as substance use or criminal activity. Critics also point out that public school students face higher rates of bullying compared to homeschoolers, which can elevate anxiety and depression, particularly in adolescence. The rigid schedules and high-stakes testing culture could further amplify stress, potentially leading to burnout or mental health challenges for kids who don't thrive in a structured setting. Moving on to private schools. The history of private education in the United States dates back to the colonial era. Catholic private schools emerged early, with the first one established by religious missionaries in areas like Florida and Louisiana in the 15 and 1600s, although more formalized systems took shape in Maryland and Louisiana during the colonial period. The big surge came in the 19th century, with waves of Catholic immigration from Europe, leading to the creation of parochial schools as alternatives to Protestant-dominated public education. Bishops encouraged these schools to preserve faith and culture, resulting in a nationwide network by the late 1800s. Meanwhile, elite non-religious private schools like Phillips Academy Andover, founded in 1778, and Phillips Exeter Academy in 1781, started as prep institutions for the wealthy, focusing on rigorous academics to prepare students for top colleges and leadership roles. These schools gained prestige in the 19th century, emphasizing character building and intellectual excellence. Proponents of private education highlight several compelling benefits, particularly for mental health and behavior. Smaller class sizes, often 10 to 20 students compared to 25 or more in public schools, allows teachers to provide individualized instruction, tailoring lessons to a child's own unique needs and learning style. This personalized approach can boost academic confidence, reducing frustration and fostering a sense of accomplishment, which may lower anxiety and enhance self-esteem. For example, a student struggling with a math issue might get more one-on-one support, helping them stay engaged rather than feeling lost in a larger class. Private schools could potentially have superior resources, like state-of-the-art science labs, robust art programs, or competitive sports teams, which can enrich a child's educational experience. These opportunities provide outlets for creativity and physical activity, potentially reducing stress and promoting positive behaviors like teamwork and perseverance. Additionally, private schools can design curricula aligned with specific values, whether religious, like Catholic schools emphasizing faith-based ethics, or academic-focused, like prep schools preparing students for Ivy League colleges. This alignment can create a strong sense of community and shared purpose, potentially fostering discipline and motivation. Students in religious schools could find comfort in shared values, which may strengthen emotional resilience, and prep school students may be driven by a culture of high achievement, preparing them for elite opportunities in college and beyond. These factors can encourage pro-social behaviors, such as leadership and community involvement, while reducing disruptive tendencies through structured environments. Now, critics, on the other hand, of private schools raise concerns. The high cost of tuition, often tens of thousands of dollars per year, makes private education inaccessible to many families. This barrier might create a culture where students feel superior or disconnected from broader society, which could lead to a lack of empathy for others. For instance, a student surrounded by only affluent peers might struggle to relate to different perspectives, potentially increasing social isolation later in life. Specific private school teachings could limit exposure to different viewpoints, theoretically risking narrow-mindedness. A child taught a singular worldview might face challenges adapting to a pluralistic environment, leading to stress or conflict avoidance behaviors when confronted with different beliefs. The competitive nature of many private schools, especially elite preparatory ones, can also heighten pressure to excel academically or socially, potentially causing anxiety, depression, or burnout. Additionally, the selective admissions process often prioritizes high-performing or well-connected students, potentially excluding those with behavioral challenges or special needs who might benefit the most from individualized attention. This exclusion could leave vulnerable kids without adequate support, increasing risk of disengagement or externalizing behaviors like defiance elsewhere. Now, thirdly, let's talk about homeschooling in the United States. Historically, homeschooling was the norm before public schools became widespread. Families educated children at home or in small community settings throughout the colonial and early American periods. The modern homeschooling movement kicked off in the 1960s and 1970s, largely thanks to educator John Holt. Holt, a school critic, argued that traditional schools stifled natural learning and advocated for child-led education, which he called unschooling. His books, like How Children Fail, inspired parents to pull kids from school, leading to legal battles for homeschool rights. By the 1980s, homeschooling gained momentum, with conservative religious groups seeking to avoid secular influences, and it became legal in all states by the 1990s. The COVID-19 pandemic further boosted it, with millions trying homeschooling for the first time temporarily. Now let's dive into homeschooling and explore its theoretical strengths and challenges in greater detail. Advocates for homeschooling argue that its flexibility is a game changer for a child's mental health and behavior. Parents can tailor lessons to a child's unique pace, learning style, and interests, creating a personalized educational experience that public or private schools can't match. For example, a child who loves science could spend extra time with hands-on experiments, while a slower reader might get customized support without the pressure of keeping up with peers. This adaptability can boost engagement, spark intrinsic motivation, and reduce stress by allowing kids to learn at a comfortable pace, potentially lowering anxiety and fostering a sense of accomplishment. Homeschooling also strengthens family bonds, as parents and siblings spend more time together, creating a supportive environment that can enhance emotional security and self-esteem. Imagine a child feeling safe to express themselves at home, free from external judgments. This could lead to fewer behavioral issues like defiance or withdrawal. Additionally, homeschooling shields kids from negative peer influences, such as bullying or pressure to engage in risky behaviors like substance use, which are more common in traditional school settings. By integrating real-world learning, like field trips to museums, community volunteering, or even apprenticeships, homeschooling encourages practical skill and self-motivation. For instance, a teen learning carpentry through a local apprenticeship might develop confidence and discipline, translating to pro-social behaviors and a strong work ethic. On the flip side, critics highlight significant concerns about homeschooling, particularly when it comes to socialization and educational rigor. Without regular interaction with diverse peers, as found in traditional schools, homeschooled children might face socialization gaps, especially if parents don't actively supplement their education with group activities like sports teams, co-ops, or clubs. This could lead to isolation, shyness, or difficulty adapting to group dynamics later in life. Such isolation might increase risks of loneliness or social anxiety, potentially affecting mental well-being. Homeschooling also demands substantial parental time, expertise, and resources, which can vary widely. A parent without a strong educational background or sufficient time might struggle to deliver a comprehensive curriculum, leading to uneven educational quality that could leave kids unprepared for standardized tests or higher education. This inconsistency might cause stress or self-doubt in children who later face academic gaps, potentially manifesting as behavioral issues like frustration or disengagement. Parental burnout is another potential concern. Balancing teaching, work, and household responsibilities can strain parents, possibly reducing their emotional availability and indirectly impacting a child's mental health. For example, an overwhelmed parent might become less patient, leading to tension that could exacerbate a child's anxiety or acting out. Without external oversight, there's also a potential risk of inadequate preparation for future challenges, such as college admissions or standardized tests like the SAT. Now, let's dive into what the research demonstrates when comparing these options, especially in areas like mental health and behavior. Studies show mixed but intriguing results. For instance, homeschooled students often report better social competencies, fewer behavioral problems, and lower depression rates compared to public school peers, with higher academic performance and stronger civic engagement in adulthood. The data indicates private school students tend to have a slight edge in psychological well-being and behavioral adjustment over public school students, but the differences are often minimal, with homeschoolers sometimes outperforming both in emotional health and reduced substance use risks. Public schools show comparable long-term outcomes, but higher rates of externalizing problems and mental health challenges during adolescence. Now, all that said, these studies have some limitations. Many are correlational, not causal. So it's hard to tell if schooling type causes outcomes or if factors like family income and parental involvement play bigger roles. Homeschool and private families often have advantages here, leading to selection bias. The self-reported data can introduce response bias, and sample sizes for homeschoolers are sometimes small or not representative. Plus, research often overlooks variations within each type, like different private school philosophies or homeschool style. Ultimately, the best choice depends on your family's needs and your own unique situation. But what do you think? Public, private, or homeschool? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe for more deep dives, and I'll see you next time.